She calls her loss at the 1989 World Indoor Championships the most bitter defeat of her career. She has a chance for redemption in our first race. These guys have been talking about records, and it's dangerous to go out on a limb in track and field and predict records. I think she has a great chance to set an American record when she wins the 400 meters.
And there is Diane as she prepares for this 400-meter final. She's no doubt gone over the mistakes she made in the 1989 race countless times, a race where she allowed German winner Helga Arendt to pass her on the inside. But earlier this week, her thoughts were on different priorities. After all, you have to shop, which is what Diane loves to do when she doesn't have to concentrate on training and racing. And when you get right down to it, everyone needs an escape of one kind or another.
I just like fashionable things. I like to wear different clothes. I like coats and suede and leather and shoes. I like all the top designers, but of course I can't afford them. And sometimes I go out and I may splurge on one or two outfits, but not all the time. But it's a way of escaping from the pressure and the stress of running track, because it's very hard on an athlete to maintain that level of fitness to be on top. So in order to get away from it, I may go out shopping and just spend some money on myself.
So with a little extra time on her hands, she thought she'd treat us to a little fashion show. When we return, you'll see Diane's 400-meter race. We're ready now for the women's 400 meters. The indoor world record holder, Jarmila Kratochvílová of Czechoslovakia, and American indoor record holder, Diane Dixon. And Craig, you said earlier you thought maybe that record would go in this race. I would have to agree with you. Diane Dixon, as you can see, 10 U.S. indoor titles. She really wants this race badly.
She is the queen of the boards, and she says that the 400 meters indoors is an all-out sprint. And when you talk about Diane Dixon, you have to talk about Fred Thompson, the man who discovered her when she was 12 years old. She calls him a tree that cannot be bent, her mentor and surrogate father.
Dixon will be in lane 3, but out in lane 5, that's Sandra Myers of Spain. She represents Spain now, but she went to school in the U.S. and moved to Spain in 1985, married a Spaniard, and started running all over again. She had this to say about her transition to Europe earlier this week.
When I came to Spain, I really had given up track and field. I was injured, had been really disappointed about not making the Los Angeles games. And I just started sort of running again. And since the track and field program here in Spain is where we have really a great federation, but we're very few athletes. And so for me, that was a real comfortable situation to be able to run 100 meters, 200 meters again.
It's funny, Dwight, when we talk to her, she says people in Spain say she has an American accent. When she goes home to Little River, Kansas, they tell her she has a Spanish accent.
Myers will be out in lane 5. Let's take a look and see how the lane assignments line up. Anita Proti of Switzerland, club teammate of Craig Masback a few years ago. Ludmila Jitgolova of the Soviet Union. Diane Dixon in 3. Alida Yurchenko of the Soviet Union in 4. Sandra Myers of Spain in 5. And Gerald Miles of the U.S. in 6. And she is the lady of the hour, Diane Dixon. Can she atone for 2 years ago when she let a technical mistake give her the silver medal instead of the gold that she wanted?
Right, this race is all about strategy, even though she says it's an all-out sprint. You got to be the first one to get to the inside. Diane Dixon says the first to the inside after the first 2 turns that they run controls the race, but as we've seen in preliminary races, you have to be careful when you cut across to the inside.
We've watched her all season long on the small tracks in the U.S., 11 laps to the mile. She really dominates, but she has to get the break here as we look at Sandra Myers, who obviously in front of a hometown crowd is going to be a big favorite in this race.
The Spanish crowd has been a part of every race where the Spanish athletes have taken part, and they've warmed up to Sandra Myers. They consider her one of their own. She's married a Spaniard. She lives up in Madrid, and hey, she thinks of herself as a Spaniard now. You know what's interesting, when she got back into track and field, she said it was Flojo that really inspired her. They were teammates back at Cal State Northridge in the early 80s.
So she loved the fact that she was able to get back to sprinting, which is why her 400 is so good. But Diane Dixon in the lane 3, she'll have a chance to take the lead, and this is how it will go. It's 2 laps of this 200-meter track. They will run the first 2 full turns in lanes and then break for the inside. That's where you have to see Diane Dixon make her move. If she's got the lead with a lap to go, she's awfully tough to beat. Brody in 1, Dushkalova, Dixon, Yurchenko, Myers, and Gerald Miles of the U.S. in 6th, and already Diane Dixon making her move in the middle of the track in the all blue.
She's not taking any chances, and I guess if there's any danger for her in this race, is that she's too exuberant in the first 200, too anxious to get that lead, but she's going to have the lead with no problem, Dwight.
Completely different from the way she ran 2 years ago at the Bell Lap. Only 200 meters to go. Diane Dixon leading as usual.
24 seconds, but look at the move by Myers, and the crowd is pushing Myers into second place.
It's Dixon in first. Myers as they go along the final curve. Dixon of the U.S. Myers of Spain. Anita Brody in the all red on the outside of Switzerland trying to catch her, but no one will catch Diane Dixon. Now it's just a matter of looking at the time. Diane Dixon trying to break the American record, and she does so by more than a full second. Diane Dixon, the flash time, 50.64. Her American record was 51.77 until just 10 seconds ago. She goes over to her coach, and as you said, Craig, surrogate father, who she broke from for 2.5 years. This is the crowning moment of 2 years of struggle for Diane Dixon as she gets a much-deserved victory lap.
You know, when she returned to Berkeley, she said, it's great to be back among gunshots and garbage cans where I grew up. And she said, Fred Thompson gives me energy, and it's Fred Thompson that pushed her on her victory lap.
And she is walking this partial lap at least, enjoying as much as she possibly can. Diane Dixon finally doing what she said she always could do.
You know, she designed her race strategy over a 2-year period because 2 years ago she failed to be aggressive enough in the first 200 meters, and she didn't get the inside position, the positions that she felt was so important to control the race. Here she didn't take any chances, and you could see she easily was able to be in the inside position. Going down that backstretch, though, Dwight, you had to wonder, when the Spanish crowd got behind Sandra Myers, who's there in 3rd place, it really seemed like they were going to slingshot her right into not only 2nd place, but into 1st place. But, you know, Diane Dixon, so experienced indoors, she feeds off the crowds. Madison Square Garden is her home track. Nowhere do they yell louder than Madison Square Garden indoors. And when she came to the home stretch, I thought she might get tight, but no, she got faster and faster and faster. Just a tremendous victory for her. And of course, right up here is the fruit of the victory, not only for Diane Dixon, but for Fred Thompson. He's worked with her for 14 years. They had 2.5 years where they weren't together. They got things together. She said, I had to earn his trust back. Not only did she earn his trust, she earned his hug with this victory.
She gave it all as she walks her victory lap out in lane 6 so she can enjoy the moment for as long as she possibly can. Unofficial result, Diane Dixon winning 50.64. When we come back for more of World Indoor Championships, more exciting action. Stay tuned. Just a few moments, but now let's go down to Todd Christensen, who has the 400-meter women's winner and new American record holder, Diane Dixon.
Well, Dwight, I'm here with Diane, and she's getting on some wear right now. Probably not getting a chance to talk with her. As you well know, if you think back to the 72 Olympics with both Colette and Matthews, it took a long time for them to collect themselves, and after 50.64, I'm not surprised. Diane, one of the things that I noticed was that as you were coming around, you must have run that first 200 around 23.5, and your coach was telling you, slow down, but you didn't.
Well, Freddie told me it's going to be a bullfight. And he said, you're from Brooklyn, so when you go to a bullfight, a gang fight, you fight with guns, not knives. So the whole time I was running, I said, okay, I'm going to war with a gun. And I hadn't realized how fast I was going. I didn't know until until I finished, and I said, wow, I didn't know I was going that fast.
Now the crowd on the backstretch with about 100 meters to go, obviously you couldn't miss them. There's 5,000 people cheering for the hometown girl. How did that affect you?
Well, I just started picking it up. I knew they would be there because my coach told me in the past I would always just run out, take the front, it would be easy. But he said this time all you guys are going to be at the wire together, so don't panic, stay in front, use your head. And that's what I did. I'm very happy with the time. He predicted I'd run 50 points. I'm totally shocked right now.
World champion, and look out, stores. Here she comes. She's going to celebrate with shopping right here.
I want to have my mother to the Adams track of Carmen, Cheryl, June, Dave.
Well done.